So you want to install Windows 10 or 11 on your Mac. Today's episode, we're going to be starting the first of 3 episodes where we are going to show you how to set up Boot Camp on a 4,1 to 7,1 Mac Pro. And the reason why we're doing that is because, well, it's just going to be easier for me to incorporate all of them at the same time, because all these systems should be able to run the same Windows install with no issues other than this one. This one has a few workarounds we'll have to talk about briefly. And this is the reason why we're doing a 3-parter. So let's get to it. Anyway, I'm Greg Hrutkay of Hrutkay Mods, and welcome to episode 6 of season 4 of my Mac Pro series, where we are going to be setting up Boot Camp. And this is going to be a 3-parter for various reasons. First, we're going to show you how to set up your system to install Windows. And this tutorial, like I said earlier, will work on a 4,1 to a 7,1. We will be mainly focusing on the 6,1, but anything you do to this 6,1 will work on the 7,1 with no problem whatsoever. This, on the other hand, there's a few things that we will have to talk about. Like, for instance, this system right here actually only supports up to Boot Camp 5. The nice thing is you can download the Boot Camp 5 drivers and it will work, but you've got to work some workarounds on it. And you can run Boot Camp 6 on this with no problems, but you've got to get it first. So first you need to install Boot Camp 5, which you may have to hack. And I will try to show you how to do that, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's a way I can do that right now. We'll figure that out. But this will only run Boot Camp 5. So we'll have links in the description on where to download Boot Camp 5 and 6 for this. These, on the other hand, should automatically be able to download Boot Camp 6. And there's 2 different ways to get the drives set up for these. And I'll show you both ways to do that and get them ready to boot Boot Camp and get Windows 10 installed. And then in part 3, we will be talking about Windows 11. Now, the reason why we're splitting it up and the reason why these systems are here is because Boot Camp 6 and stuff will work on any Mac except for the 32-bit CPU Macs. Those will go up to Boot Camp 4, but that will also work in Windows 10. It's confusing, but this is the first system that you could EFI boot Windows in, and that's the reason why we're doing it with these systems here. The 4,1 was the first EFI Windows compatible Mac. All the systems before that would only run Boot Camp, MBR setups. So I have previous videos on how to install Windows 10 on a 1,1, 2,1, and if you follow that, you can do it on a 3,1 also. Windows 10 will run on those with no issues whatsoever, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, and you've got to do some workarounds. The 3,1s just have a lot of problems. It was the earliest version of the 64-bit EFI, and they still don't like booting 64-bit Windows. You have to do some workarounds. So we'll have links up here on my previous videos on how to get Boot Camp to run on the 1,1, 2,1. If you follow that, the 3,1 will also install Windows 10. But since we've got the 4,1 and newer, they can run EFI Windows. So we're going to be installing EFI Windows on this system right here, and you can follow this tutorial to do it on a 7,1 also, but we'll also have to cover this too. And the difference between MBR and EFI is MBR is it's kind of a weird partitioning for Windows. It basically emulates a BIOS for the older Macs. And with the EFI version of Windows, it just boots natively, and you don't need Boot Camp. So that's the difference there. And the older systems just don't do it. That's the reason why we're doing the 4,1 to 7,1 in this video. And in today's video, we will be showing you how to set up that Boot Camp drive and showing you how to get the drivers. And then in the next episode, we will be installing Windows 10 on this system here. And then the next episode, we will be installing Windows 11 on this system right here and showing you how to get all that to work, because Windows was dropped in support on Windows 10 on Macs, but Windows 11 actually works fine on them, but you've got to do some workarounds to make it work. So we'll talk about that also. So let's get to it.
Greg of the future here. I forgot to mention on the 4.1, 5.1, if you boot natively with the EFI Windows, you can brick your system. But if you boot it through OpenCore, you shouldn't have a problem. It's some kind of update problem that sometimes corrupts the EFI in the system, which will brick the whole system. But as long as you're booting it in OpenCore, you should be good.
So hey guys, I forgot to mention this, so I'm going to make a quick disclaimer before we get into setting up boot camp on these systems here. And that is mainly, if you want to install Windows 11 on a 3.1 or older Mac Pro, it just won't work with the newest version of Windows 11, which makes it kind of redundant to show you how to do it. Back in February, they disabled any CPU that was Core 2 based, which is the 3.1 and older. Those generations just don't have the instruction sets to run Windows 11. So Windows 10 is the highest you can go. You can run Windows 11 on them, but I'm not going to show you how to do it, because when the newest update officially finally comes out, Windows 11 just won't work on them. But these systems here have all the instruction sets on the CPUs to run Windows 11. So that's why. So let's get to the boot camp setup.
So yeah, hi, Greg from the future here. I forgot to hit record when I filmed this section of the video, so I've got to refilm it all. And I didn't realize that until I started editing the video. So yeah, this section right here, you can skip if you're running a 6.1/7.1 Mac Pro. This only pertains to the 4.1/5.1 Mac Pros, and this is the section where we are going to talk about boot camp support for these systems here. The 5.1 and 4.1 only supports Boot Camp 5, which was for Windows 7 and Windows 8 only. And in this section here, we're going to show you how to set that up and make it work on Windows 10. And this will also work with Windows 11 also. So if you don't have one of these systems, you can skip this section and move ahead. But yeah, let's continue here. Right now, what you will need to do is first download these files here. You'll need bootcamp 5.0.5033, which is for your 4.1, 5.1 Mac Pro. You'll need to download that. You'll also need to download EP.6, which I have a file from 2019 that I uploaded in 2019. You'll need to download this, and you'll also need to download Orca MSI Editor, which is no longer available. It was never really officially available. This allows you to modify the boot camp so it will actually install on your 4.1, 5.1. So once you get those downloaded, we'll come back. So once you have all the files downloaded, you might want to extract the Boot Camp 6 files from the zip and make sure they're all there. And then you want to copy over the Boot Camp 6, Boot Camp 5, and Orca MSI stuff to your FAT32 formatted drive here. And once those are copied over, we'll hop over to Windows. Okay, so on your 4.1, 5.1, once you get the files copied over to the drive and you have Windows 10 installed, you will want to go over to the drive and first install Orca. Do a complete install and install it. Yes. Once you have Orca installed, you will want to open Orca. And the reason why we need Orca is because Boot Camp is designed for specific systems and specific versions of Windows, and they are locked, basically. So if we open up Orca, we can fix our MSI files that are in Boot Camp to make this work. So we go to File, Open, and we want to find our Boot Camp installs. So this will be in Drive E. First, we'll start with Boot Camp 5. The reason why you want to install Boot Camp 5 is because it's got all the drivers you're going to need for Windows. So we install Boot Camp 5, go to Drivers, Apple, and you want to open up the Boot Camp file MSI here. Hit Open. Then you want to go over here and look for Launch Condition. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Launch Condition. And this is all the limits that prevent you from starting up Boot Camp's installer. We'll go to Tables and hit Drop Table and hit Yes. And then you hit Save. And then for Boot Camp 6, you want to do exactly the same thing. So we'll go back to Drive E, go to Boot Camp 6, Drivers, Apple, Boot Camp. Open. And then we'll go down to Launch Condition again. Tables, drop table, and hit Yes. Now you just install Boot Camp. Yes. You might want to save it first. But anyway, now we just install, yes, it worked properly. We just install it by going through the Apple version of this, which wouldn't let you do it otherwise. So now that we've taken that condition off, we can just start Boot Camp. This is the 5.0 installer. We hit Accept, Install, and we agree to that, and it starts installing Boot Camp 5. Once this is all done, we'll come back to Boot Camp 6. Okay, we have Boot Camp 5 installed, and as we can see, all the drivers are now installed. We hit Finish. It will ask you if you want to restart. You don't have to install Boot Camp 6. So we will go back and install Boot Camp 6 to have Windows 10 support. And this also, of course, works with Windows 11. Drivers, Apple, Boot Camp. There's the Boot Camp 6 installer. Accept, Install. Yes. Yes. And now Boot Camp 6 will install. Boot Camp 6 is now installed. We hit Finish. And it usually asks if you want to restart. I would recommend restarting. And once it's restarted, we'll come back. Okay, once it's restarted, see if Boot Camp pops up. Go to Boot Camp Control Panel and make sure it works. If it does, you've successfully made it work. And if we go to About Boot Camp here, Boot Camp 6, we are set up, and that's how you get the 4.1, 5.1 to play nicely with Boot Camp 6 and make everything work. Now, if you have any other drivers you want to update and stuff, you want to make sure that all the drivers are working properly. So you go to Device Manager by right-clicking on the Start menu and see what's not working. In this case, PCI Simple Communications Controller, that is part of my MacBook Pro. You may not have that problem. And it's as simple as forcing the install to update. So you go to Update Driver, browse for the files, and then hit Next, have disk, and you go through your Boot Camp 5 files to find the driver that it needs. If you can't find them, do a web search, and that's everything you need to do. Once you get everything working, make sure all your drivers are up to date, and you're set up on your 4.1, 5.1 with Boot Camp. Anyway, let's get back to the tutorial on how to install this on everything else. So let's go. Okay, so welcome back to my 6,1. Now, before we do the 6,1 stuff, I'm going to show you two different ways to set up the drive. Now, on the 4,1, 5,1, this is the way you should probably do it. We go over to disk utility here, and you'll want to partition the system here. Let's see here, show all devices. We'll hit partition here, hit plus, add volume, or add partition. Figure out what size you want your OS to be here. Let's do 150 gigs here, and we want to make sure it's in MS-DOS FAT, and hit apply, and partition. It will resize it, and you're doing this on the 4,1, 5,1 because by default, Boot Camp Assistant will probably format in MBR. And if you want native EFI support, you've got to do it this way, and you got to make sure the drive is formatted EFI. You can also do this on the 6,1 and 7,1, and this is the reason why this is in the 6,1, 7,1 tutorial. If you don't want to do the Boot Camp stuff, you don't have to. But the Boot Camp Assistant actually makes it easier. So we'll just let it do its thing. Once that's done, you can hit done. And wherever it made the drive, I don't know where it made it. Here it is. Yeah, there it is. We can go to info and make sure it is UEFI supported here. It's not showing it there, so we can also go here, system information, and then go to drives, storage. And it is GPT, which means that's the EFI partition. And that's what you will need on the 4,1, 5,1. And of course, this will work on the 6,1 and 7,1 also. So now I'm going to revert back and show you how to do this with Boot Camp Assistant. Okay, for the next step, we will need the ISO file. And I'll have a link to this in the description below. We will download the Windows 10 Multi Edition and hit confirm and let it download. You choose your language here, hit confirm, and you'll want the 64-bit download. Hit allow, and it will download. Once it's downloaded, we will come back. Okay, so now that you have the ISO downloaded, if you're on a 4,1, 5,1, you can burn it to a disk and boot straight off of it from your boot menu. Or if you have the 6,1, 7,1, you can use Boot Camp Assistant. If you've already done the formatting and partitioning, you can just do it the way you would with the 4,1, 5,1. But if you're using Boot Camp Assistant, this is how you do it. Make sure there's no external drives plugged in and hit continue. You'll select how big you want your drive. We'll say 200 gigabytes. And we'll use the image. If it hasn't found the image, you'll want to find it first and hit install. And now it will download the Boot Camp drivers and all that stuff and start installing. All right, it's now resizing the drive. You don't want to touch anything, just let it do its thing while it's doing this. All right, and that's the end of today's video. If you have the ISO downloaded on the 4,1, 5,1, you can do a DVD boot if you want to just burn it to a DVD, or you can copy it over to a flash drive. On the 6,1, 7,1, it automatically sets it up and gets it ready to boot up. And in fact, it's just going to go into it. So we're going to go into the next episode.
Anyway, I'm Greg Rudkay Mods, and welcome to episode I don't remember of whatever season I'm in. Shit. I forgot to look up what episode it was. I'll be right back.